After 3 years of being dinks, my husband adopted a child against my wishes. When I filed for divorce, I was killed in a sudden car accident. After my death, the driver who hit me nestled in my husband's arms, beaming with joy. That bitch is finally dead. Now our family of 3 can be complete. It was then I realized my husband had been keeping a mistress on the side, and they already had a child together, before my body was even cold. That happy little family was merrily enjoying the inheritance I left behind. When I opened my eyes, I found myself back on the day my husband first suggested we adopt a child. Yunshu, we're still young. Life for just the two of us can get a bit dull sometimes. We need a child to bring some joy into our lives. My husband, Zhou Qingyan, sat across from me, pleading earnestly, we could find a local orphanage. I visited one recently, and the children there were all very well behaved. My mother-in-law chimed in from the side, exactly, he's my only son, we can't just let the family line end with him. In my past life, at the dinner table, the two of them ganged up on me, pressuring me to agree to their proposal of adopting a child. I firmly refused and said angrily, we agreed before we got married that we wouldn't have children. How can you go back on your word now? My mother-in-law snapped. It's not like we're asking you to give birth. We're handing you a ready-made child, and you're still not happy. I thought there might still be room for negotiation, but the very next day, Zhou Qingyan brought a little boy home and told him to call me auntie. He actually went ahead and brought the child home anyway, completely disregarding my objections. Faced with my questioning, he dismissed it lightly, surely you're not so petty that you can't even accept a child. I immediately asked for a divorce. He didn't agree. I stormed out, slamming the door, but was hit by a car on the road and died on the spot. After death, my spirit wandered. I discovered that the person responsible for the accident was actually holding that adopted child, nestled in Zhou Qingyan's arms, repeatedly saying our little family. That's when I realized it was all their scheme. They killed me to take my inheritance, leaving me to rage while they lived happily as a family. The irony is unbearable. I masked the emotion in my eyes and spoke coldly. Before the marriage, why didn't you worry about ending your family line? Well, don't put it like that. I wasn't thinking that far ahead at the time, my mother-in-law said with displeasure, seeing so many people holding their grandchildren. Am I not allowed to feel a little envious? That's just a nice way of putting it. The truth is, Zhou Qingyan only pretended to be compatible with me because I have no parents and am child-free by choice, all to get his hands on my assets. Only 3 years, and such a drastic change, I said half-jokingly, surely you don't think that just because I married into your family, I've lost all my options. Yunshu, don't be so confrontational. Zhou Qingyan frowned at me. Lately, seeing other people's children has made me really envious. I won't force you if you don't want to have one. But you can't just take away my right to be a father, can you? Don't you dare pin such a heavy accusation on me, I sneered. Do you even remember what you promised me before we got married? His face stiffened, and his tone sharpened involuntarily. That was then. Can't I change my mind now? Sure you can, I said flatly. Why on earth would you want to seek out a child of unknown origin? Most of them are abandoned. Who knows what kind of problems they might have? Impossible. The mother-in-law shrieked. That child is perfectly healthy. I've seen for myself. Oh, you've seen for yourself, have you? I said flatly, so you're just informing me, is that it? Yunshu, that's not what I meant, sweetheart. Don't get so hung up on it. Zhou Qingyan frowned. It's not necessarily about being abandoned. There are plenty of other reasons. Zhou Qingyan, I understand you want to be a father. Since we're husband and wife, it's my duty to help you with your worries. I looked at him earnestly. A child without your bloodline isn't really carrying on your family line, if you want one so badly. It's not like I can't have one. Why don't we have our own? What do you think? Zhou Qingyan's face stiffened, clearly taken aback by my words. He had been so sure I couldn't have children, which is why he felt free to pressure me without restraint. If I said I wanted to have one, he wouldn't have a leg to stand on to object. But me saying I'd have a child was just to see how he'd react, him thinking I'd actually bear his child, in his dreams. Before Zhou Qingyan could speak, his mother let out a strange cry. Are you joking? You said you didn't want children. Mom, you've said it yourself. People's minds change over time, I said with a wry smile. Why do you seem unhappy now that I want to have a child? Yunshu, don't talk nonsense. Zhou Qingyan chided me in a low voice. Mom would be overjoyed to hear you think that way. Not displeased at all. It's just that. He paused, his gaze filled with concern. Pregnancy and childbirth are incredibly taxing. I'm worried about your health. The thought of forcing you into this for my own selfish reasons makes me deeply uneasy. A child is a child, whether we raise one from infancy or not. I just wanted something to give my life meaning. There's no need for you to go through all that. His words were becoming a bit flustered. Before this, he and my mother-in-law must have anticipated every possible reaction from me and prepared a counter-argument for each. The one thing they never expected was for me to suggest having one myself. So you were worried about my health. My face was full of emotion. Qingyan, I never realized you cared for me so much. Zhou Qingyan looked somewhat awkward. After a moment of deep thought, I said, in that case, I have no reason to refuse. A flicker of delight crossed my mother-in-law's face, but I continued calmly. However, I have one condition. What condition? Since you're seeking a spiritual anchor for our future together, I fixed my gaze on the two of them and said, enunciating each word clearly, I will make the final selection myself. Before my mother-in-law could voice her objection, Zhou Qingyan had already cut in. Of course, I stood up to leave and faintly overheard my mother-in-law whisper, if we're choosing personally, then what about Yang Yang? I couldn't make out the rest of what she said. Their plan all along was to assume I'd refuse, then just bring the child home directly to force my acceptance. If I accept, I'll be trapped in a never-ending battle with the other woman, and on top of that, I'd have to raise her child. Even if I refuse, they have a backup plan, arrange an accident to kill me before the divorce. Zhou Qingyan would then rightfully inherit my estate. Just like in my past life, since I've been given a second chance at life, I absolutely will not let that happen. The hideous true faces of this whole family make me sick. I'm going to make them pay for everything they did to me in my past life. My little stunt kept Zhou Qingyan running around all day, utterly swamped. He didn't come into the room until late at night, eagerly announcing that everything was ready and we could go see the child tomorrow. I turned a page of my book and said unhurriedly, there are 3 orphanages in the city. These things can't be rushed. We should take our time and visit them one by one. His expression faltered, and his tone turned conciliatory. I've already made arrangements with the director of one of them. We can't stand them up. We should go first thing in the morning. Is it really that urgent? I looked up at him. Even if we go in the morning, we can't bring one home by noon. The paperwork takes a month, with so many children, and people visiting every day. We need to go early to have a chance at finding one we really like. Do you think we're picking out cabbages at the supermarket? I closed the book. Fine, tomorrow morning it is. But let's be clear up front, I want a girl. He was about to say something more, but I had already turned over and gone to sleep, with just that one sentence. I bet he couldn't sleep a wink all night. I slept soundly and woke up feeling refreshed. In stark contrast, Zhou Qingyan was dragging himself around with heavy dark circles and a haggard look on his face. Mother-in-law was ready bright and early, her face beaming with anticipation, just waiting to head out. Not only did I get up later than usual, but I also took my time with a thorough shower, applied my makeup carefully, and leisurely ate my breakfast. It wasn't until nearly noon that I finally set off for the orphanage at a leisurely pace. The whole way there, my mother-in-law wore a dark, sullen expression, clearly quite upset with me. Zhou Qingyan, on the other hand, remained calm, though his unconsciously quickened pace betrayed his underlying anxiety. The director warmly welcomed us and led us to the area where the children were playing. My eyes immediately landed on the little boy named Yang Yang. The one who had been brought home in my past life. Standing beside him was a woman in an orphanage uniform, Zhou Qingyan's mistress, the very woman who had caused my death in my previous life. Yu Lixia. Among all those children, she only hovered around Yang Yang, completely ignoring the others. Seeing us arrive, she hurried forward, her body brushing against Zhou Qingyan's in a seemingly accidental, yet deliberate, touch. My mother-in-law's eyes lit up. She scooped Yang Yang right up into her arms. Her face beaming with a wide smile. Ignoring Yu Lixia, Zhou Qingyan walked over to me instead. He put on a show of looking me over and asked, Yunshu, what do you think of that boy? Mom really likes him. Yeah, anyone would think they already knew each other. Watching their little performance with a wry smile, I turned directly to Yu Lixia and asked, what's your take? Which child do you think would be more obedient? She hadn't expected me to ask her. She instinctively glanced at Zhou Qingyan before stammering out a reply. Yang Yang seems quite good. He's well-behaved and sensible. What about a girl? She paused for a moment, then said urgently, Yang Yang is the best child here. None of the others can compare to him. So excellent. Yet no parents want him. Besides, he looks average to me. Not very cute, and way too loud. I said dismissively, and I don't like boys. Don't you understand? I want a girl. What nonsense are you talking? She flared up instantly. How dare you say Yang Yang is ugly? Who do you think you are? Please show some respect for my wife. Zhou Qingyan cut her off sharply, preventing her from finishing her sentence. Yu Lisha's eyes were slightly red, she bit her lower lip hard and pointed casually, that one. It was a very cute little girl with rosy cheeks, playing a game of eagle catches chicks with a group of children. I stepped forward and crouched down, chatting with the little girl with a smile. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Yu Lisha tugging at Zhou Qingyan's sleeve, her face full of resentment. I pulled out my phone and took a few pictures. After looking into it, I've taken a liking to the little girl, Dong Dong. But my mother-in-law is dead set on adopting Yang Yang. My mother-in-law snapped. I wanted a grandson. What's the meaning of bringing home some little girl of unknown origin? All children are of unknown origin. I said calmly, Mom, raising a grandson costs money. When he grows up, there's the car, the house, and a wife to pay for. Qingyan's salary isn't high. Even with your pension added in, it still won't be enough. But I have you, don't I? My mother-in-law shrieked. We're family. How dare you refuse to spend money and effort on my grandson? And there she goes. Grandson this, grandson that. I sneered inwardly but kept a straight face. Mom, I've told you I don't care for boys. He's no relation of mine. Why on earth should I spend my own money to raise him? I said the last sentence with emphasis. What do you mean, your money? My mother-in-law was furious. Now that you've married into our family, you're part of the Zhou family's assets, you should hand it over. I sneered. Zhou Qingyan and I signed a prenuptial agreement. That's my money, not yours. That's precisely why Zhou Qingyan is so determined to see me dead, as long as I'm alive. The assets I brought into the marriage will never be his, but once I'm gone, the inheritance would rightfully pass to him as the surviving spouse. Yunshu, that's going too far. Zhou Qingyan frowned, his tone laced with reproach. You have no family of your own. My mother pities you and treats you like her own daughter. We're all family here. Saying something like that is just so cold. Just because I have no family to back me up doesn't mean I'm at your mercy. We're supposed to be family. So don't you dare use that tone with me. What you promised went far beyond this prenup, I snapped. In short, I don't like that ugly kid. If you don't agree, then we're done here. My mother-in-law shrieked and lunged at me, her face contorted with rage as she grabbed my throat. Who do you think you are to disagree? You're nothing. How dare you defy me? In your dreams. I didn't back down for a second. I grabbed a fistful of her hair and yanked hard. Seizing the chance to kick her sharply in the shin, I used to hold back because she was my elder, and I had no family of my own to back me up. Even when she berated me, I always followed the principle of letting things slide to avoid trouble. But I never imagined it would lead to this. Wearing my stiletto heels, I put all my strength into it. She shrieked and fell to the floor, wailing as if her life was draining away. What a curse. How did my son end up with a shrew like you? How dare you lay a hand on your own mother-in-law? Yunshu, you vicious woman, you'll stoop to any low trick to keep my grandson from coming home. You're absolutely. She was hurling abuse without restraint. Zhou Qingyan quickly scolded her to stop and helped her up, then turned to me in anger. Yunshu, no matter what, she is your elder, you should know to show respect. What kind of daughter-in-law behaves like this? Respect. I let out a cold laugh and tossed the large clump of hair I'd pulled out right in front of her. She tries to strangle me, and I'm just supposed to let her. Zhou Qingyan, she's your mother, not mine. If you can't handle this, we can get a divorce. Fine, let's get a divorce. My mother-in-law was practically hysterical, her voice shrill. Once you leave my son, let's see who would ever want you. I nodded. Fine, let's get a divorce then. Yunshu, my mom was just venting. And you have to chime in. Zhou Qingyan quickly intervened, helping his mother into the bedroom. You need to calm down too. Don't be so quick to throw around the word divorce. I slammed the door on my way out and deliberately stayed out, wandering around until evening before coming back. Before even stepping inside, Yu Lisha's voice could be heard. That bitch isn't going to come back suddenly, is she? Zhou Qingyan said. Don't worry. Once she throws a tantrum, it goes on forever. She won't come back unless I go and coax her. That damned woman. I won't let her get away with this. Yu Lisha cursed angrily. If it comes to it, we should just kill her and be done with it. Saves us the trouble. Zhou Qingyan was silent for a long while before finally saying, I have a feeling she might know something. We can't rush this. We need to think it through carefully. After recording their conversation, I pushed the door open and walked right in. Everyone stood up, staring at me in shock. Well, everyone's here. With a look of feigned surprise on my face, my gaze swept past Zhou Qingyan and my mother-in-law before settling on Yu Lisha. And who might this be? Oh, right, I remember now. Your Auntie Yu, the cook from the orphanage. Right, I said with a smile. It's quite late, Auntie Yu. What brings you to my home? To be fair, Yu Lixia wasn't old-looking, but there's a distinct difference in a woman's appearance after having children. On top of that, all the running around she'd been doing over this matter had left her complexion sallow and her whole demeanor rather haggard. My repeated use of auntie made her face darken, and she unconsciously clenched the hem of her clothes. Zhou Qingyan clearly didn't expect me to return so suddenly. Flustered, he explained, "She's here on behalf of the dean to ask for our opinion, Yunshu. Please don't misunderstand. Even if I am the jealous type, there's no need for it to be like this." I cast a casual glance at Yu Lixia and suddenly spoke up, "Miss Yu, pregnancy and childbirth must be quite an ordeal, right?" She was taken aback, seemingly caught off guard. I continued, "You don't look much older than me, but you have the look of a woman who's given birth. It just goes to show, my decision not to have children was the right one. Qingyan, you said you were worried my health couldn't take it. I was stubborn and didn't believe you at first. But now I see you were looking out for me." A flash of fury crossed Yu Lixia's face before she forced a smile. "My family's circumstances are humble. I certainly can't afford the same level of care as you." The mother-in-law chimed in with a sneer. "What kind of woman doesn't have children? If you can't have them, just say so. Don't try to pretty it up with excuses." "So a woman who doesn't have children isn't a real woman?" My face was a picture of shock. "What do you call that, a man?" My mother-in-law slammed the table in anger. "Yunshu, don't you dare spout such nonsense here. Let me make one thing clear. I'm taking Yang, whether you agree to it or not." Without changing my expression, I looked at Zhou Qingyan. "What's your take on this?" "The same as your mother's." Zhou Qingyan's face darkened. He remained silent. "Don't make me out to be some kind of monster. I never said I was against it." I sighed. "All I said was, I don't like that ugly kid and I won't spend a dime on him. You can bring him home if you want, but let me be perfectly clear. I won't be spending a single cent on him." My mother-in-law flew into a rage and lunged at me, but Zhou Qingyan stopped her. He stared straight at me and asked, "So a girl would be okay?" I shrugged. "That ugly kid is a definite no, but Dong Dong, I like her just fine." He gave a firm nod. "All right. Dong Dong it is." Yu Lixia grew anxious in an instant. But he stopped her. I couldn't be bothered watching their little exchange, so I went straight to my room to pack. "My friend just went through a breakup and wants me to stay with her for a few days. Qingyan, if there's any news, let me know." Zhou Qingyan nodded, his usual gentle expression returning to his face. "It's so late. Would you like me to give you a ride?" "No, thanks." I ignored them and walked away. Given the circumstances, they'd probably prefer it if I weren't here. It's no surprise Zhou Qingyan agreed. At worst, he could adopt Dong Dong and take Yang back after I'm gone. It's not worth fighting over this and ending up in a divorce. I moved in with a friend and told her that Zhou Qingyan had cheated, and that I was probably getting a divorce. My friend was furious. She consulted a lawyer that very night and was eager to help me gather evidence of Zhou Qingyan's infidelity, determined to make him leave the marriage with nothing. As someone with no real home to call my own, the only people who stood up for me were my friends. Just a couple of days later, Zhou Qingyan called me. He said his mother had been sneaking off to the orphanage to see Yang nonstop. She'd fallen head over heels for him and was absolutely desperate to bring him home. Over the phone, I could hear my mother-in-law wailing, "I don't care what anyone says, Yang is my own grandson. And I'm taking him back. No one is going to stop me. They'll have to kill me first. She doesn't get to call the shots in this family." "Qingyan, what kind of wife did you bring into this house? She contradicts me at every turn. She's trying to drive me to an early grave." She was practically shouting, making sure I could hear every word. Zhou Qingyan's voice was strained with helplessness. "Yunshu, I've been trying to talk sense into Mom for days, but she just won't listen to me. Maybe we should think about this again." It seems Yu Lixia wouldn't agree, so she's been making a scene for days. When being tough didn't work, she resorted to shameless tactics, which is how she came up with this scheme. If I don't agree this time, the next step will be her threatening suicide, and she'll make sure the whole neighborhood hears about it. "Qingyan, your mother isn't getting any younger. You really shouldn't let her carry on like this." My tone was full of concern. "Besides, if she likes Yang, then just bring him home. As the daughter-in-law, I should always defer to the elders." Zhou Qingyan's face lit up with joy. "You're saying yes. I have no reason to say no." I smiled. "She likes Yang, and I like Dong Dong. There's no conflict. I've already asked. We can take both children home, both of them." My mother-in-law snatched the phone and started yelling, "Yunshu, have you lost your mind? Do you have any idea how much it costs to raise 2 children? Don't worry, I'll take full responsibility for taking care of Dong Dong," I said with a wry smile. if you think the place is too small, I can take Dong Dong to my house, but my stance remains the same. If you like him so much, you raise him yourself. I won't spend a single penny on him. Yunshu, how can you say such a thing? Zhou Qingyan snapped in frustration. It's you on one side and my mother on the other. Can't you be more understanding and stop putting me in such a difficult position? What? I've made it clear I don't like it, yet your mother insists on bringing it into our home. I suggested we just stay out of each other's way, but you're not happy with that either. Can you people not survive without coveting my premarital assets? I let out a cold laugh, my tone sharp and unyielding. I agreed to you adopting a child, Zhou Qingyan. If we really can't see eye to eye on this, then I think divorce is the only option. Without waiting for his reply, I hung up the phone directly. My action made it perfectly clear. This matter was not up for discussion. About 20 minutes later, Zhou Qingyan called back, sounding utterly helpless, and said he wanted to bring both children home. On the other end of the line, my mother-in-law was shouting loudly, cursing that I should be run over by a car when I go out. I pretended not to hear it, rushed home, and retrieved Zhou Qingyan's premarital medical report. It stated clearly in black and white, azoospermia. That's right, Zhou Qingyan is completely infertile. When we went for our premarital checkup, the nurse was an acquaintance of mine. She called me right away to tell me the results. At the time, I thought to myself, since we didn't plan on having kids anyway, and I was worried about hurting his pride, I just took the report home by myself and never told him about it. I kept quiet all this time to protect his ego, and yet he went and had a child with someone else. Dong Dong looks to be just over 3 years old, which lines up with when we got married. My guess is Yu Lixia realized she was pregnant and found a nice, gullible guy to pin it on. Zhou Qingyan and his mother were overjoyed, truly believing that child was their own flesh and blood. How utterly ridiculous. I wanted them to go through hell and high water to bring that child home, only to discover it wasn't their own. That's what makes it so satisfying. I'd been away for a few days, and Yu Lixia has practically moved into my house. A concerned neighbor told me to hurry back, or the lady of the house might soon have a different last name. It seems I've thoroughly enraged Yu Lixia. She's desperately trying to make her presence known, putting on a show of force right in front of me. She might not care, but Zhou Qingyan is a different story. He's still eyeing my premarital assets, so he has to at least put on an act. I pulled a surprise visit, coming back specifically in the evening. When I opened the door, I saw the two of them curled up on the sofa watching TV, snacks in hand, clearly caught off guard by my sudden return. Zhou Qingyan immediately came over to greet me. Yunshu, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I could have picked you up. I stared at them and slammed my keys down on the table. What? Am I interrupting something? Don't talk nonsense. Zhou Qingyan's expression changed. Xiaoyu has been coming over a lot these past few days because of the child situation. She's the most dedicated one at the welfare center. Was it really necessary for her to stay so late? Then, my face was full of suspicion, and my tone was far from polite. Miss you. Are you aware that Zhou Qingyan is a married man? What exactly is your intention? Coming to my house over and over again. A flicker of fury crossed Yu Lixia's face as she tried to explain, but my mother-in-law emerged from the kitchen and snapped. I invited her. What's the problem? Zhou Qingyan let out a sigh of relief and immediately said, Mom, Yunshu has misunderstood. Please explain it to her. Explain what? A dirty mind sees filth everywhere. My mother-in-law snorted coldly, then affectionately took Yu Lixia's hand. At least Xiaoyu understands me and knows to come keep me company, unlike some people, who are supposed to be part of this family but act like a complete stranger. What sin did I commit in my past life to end up with a daughter-in-law like you? She glared at me, her brows furrowed. Oh, so you decided to grace us with your presence. Of course I had to come back, otherwise, the lady of the house might just change her surname. My expression remained unchanged. Zhou Qingyan whispered soothingly in my ear, promising that he would never let Yu Lixia come over again. He thought he was speaking softly, unaware that Yu Lixia's expression behind him was growing increasingly grim, as if she was struggling to hold back. Zhou Qingyan, I came back this time because I have something to give you. I took the premarital checkup report from my bag and handed it to him. I found this at home. It's your medical report. I didn't pay attention to it at the time. Qingyan, it seems you have azoospermia. Zhou Qingyan froze on the spot, staring blankly at the report in his hand, his body trembling slightly. My mother-in-law nearly blurted out, Impossible. Yu Lixia's face was deathly pale, her lips pressed tightly together as she refused to speak. I then explained earnestly, that was the outcome back then. Qingyan, it really doesn't matter. We don't plan on having children anyway, once you adopt Yang Yang. You can raise him as your own son. Stop talking nonsense. My mother-in-law glared at me, her eyes wide with fury as she charged over. After all the years you've been married, she demanded, what possible motive could you have for slandering Qingyan like this? The whole scene was almost comical. Zhou Qingyan stood there, his face a mask of stunned disbelief, utterly unable to process the revelation. Yu Lixia remained silent. Only my mother-in-law refused to accept it, still raging at me. Slander, what's with the ugly accusations? I retorted. I feigned surprise. Qingyan and I agreed before we married that we didn't want children. Whether he has azoospermia or not is irrelevant to me. Mom, didn't you always say blood ties don't matter? Once you bring Yang Yang home, he'll be your real grandson. Probably seeing the mockery on my face, my mother-in-law suddenly exploded. She rushed over and slapped me across the face, furiously shouting, you bitch, I'll tear your mouth to shreds today. If I just stood there and took it, I might as well have never lived at all. As she tried to hit me again, I kicked her hard, sending her to the ground. I pinned her down and slapped her twice right across the face. You old hag. Did you really think I was an easy target? My mother-in-law started shrieking like a stuck pig. Murder. This slut is trying to kill me. Help. No one expected me to get into a physical fight with her. Zhou Qingyan quickly pulled me away, shouting, have you lost your mind? That's my mother. What about your mother? Does being your mother give her the right to bully me? My face was contorted with rage. I spat on the ground in disgust and yelled, Zhou Qingyan, I see it now. You've got your eye on this woman, haven't you? Fine. I've had enough of living in your house anyway. Let's get a divorce. You can be with whoever you want. Fine. Get out of my house this instant. My mother-in-law wailed as if the sky were falling. She struggled to her feet to hit me, spittle flying everywhere. How dare you? How dare you defy me like this? You actually laid hands on me. Zhou Qingyan, either she goes or I go. This house isn't big enough for the both of us today. Enough. Mom, calm down. Zhou Qingyan snapped at me. Yunshu. Apologize to my mother right now. Apologize, I sneered. No way. You think I don't know what it means? You bringing that you woman into our home. Let me make this clear. Zhou Qingyan, we are through. You shameless, low-class hussy. No wonder you're an orphan. My mother-in-law was absolutely livid and started spewing venom. Don't you dare think my son can't live without you. Just wait until we get Yang Yang back. You'll get what's coming to you. Your days are numbered. We'll see how tough you act then. She wasn't exactly the educated type and always relied on brute force to get her way. A little provocation was all it took for her to spill everything. As if she couldn't stand the thought of me feeling smug. Zhou Qingyan tried to stop me, but it was too late. My face was a mask of shock as I nodded repeatedly. Well, so that's your game. I wondered why you suddenly wanted to adopt a child. This was your plan all along. I pointed a trembling finger at Yu Lixia and roared, it's her, isn't it? You've been carrying on behind my back. That child, Yang Yang, he's yours, isn't he? You two had a child together. Zhou Qingyan, his face pale, reached out to grab my arm. Yunshu, my mother is talking nonsense. Please, calm down. I shoved him away with all my might. Striding forward, I slapped Yu Lixia across the face with every ounce of strength I had, screaming, you bitch, I'll kill you today. The slap was so hard that Yu Lixia's face swelled up instantly. She covered her cheek, stunned for a long moment, then let out a shriek and started grappling with me. How dare you hit me? What gives you the right? Having fun seducing someone else's husband? Are you homewrecker? I didn't back down. The deep-seated hatred from my past life surged, driving me to pin Yu Lixia down and beat her relentlessly, even tearing out a large handful of her hair. Yu Lixia screamed for help. Desperately trying to shield her face, Zhou Qingyan tried to stop me several times, but to no avail. In the end, he forcibly dragged me away, his eyes red with fury. Yunshu, when are you going to stop this nonsense? Zhou Qingyan, so you're taking her side now, is that it? I let out a series of cold, angry laughs. What, you think just because she had your child, you have to protect her? Is that it? How touching. And it would be even more touching if it were actually your child. His face darkened as he roared, I don't believe a word of that so-called premarital checkup. Yunshu, did you know all along? Is that why you came back to put on this little show for me? If I'd known earlier, I would have castrated you in your sleep. I snarled viciously. Don't believe me? Then go ahead and keep raising another man's son, you idiot. He tried to say something more, but I had already shaken him off and turned to leave. Yunshu, explain yourself. He stepped forward and grabbed me, but I slapped him hard across the face, called him a scumbag, and stormed off. It wasn't until I was far away from that place that I started trembling uncontrollably. To be honest, I had originally planned to break the news to Zhou Qingyan in a more tactful way, to make sure everything was foolproof. But the moment I saw Yu Lisha's face and remembered her smug expression from our past life, I suddenly changed my mind. The hatred from my past life was buried deep in my heart, suffocating me. Seeing their hypocritical faces, I was so furious I could grind my teeth, yet I still had to wear a pleasant smile and deal with them. I can't stand the way they're bullying me. Only this kind of wild, unrestrained beating could vent the fury burning inside me. Zhou Qingyan must be running himself ragged these past few days, trying to verify that news. His next move will undoubtedly be to come crawling back to me, begging for reconciliation. That's just the kind of man he is. When it comes to protecting his own interests, he has no scruples about switching sides or playing any role necessary. Back when I refused to have a child, he stood firmly by Yu Lixia without a second thought. But if it turns out Yu Lixia's child isn't his, he'll have the gall to come begging for my forgiveness, no matter what. I will absolutely not allow the tragedy from my past life to repeat itself. Yang Yang's biological father was a lowlife named Lu Ji. He was a layabout who did no honest work. Whenever he ran out of money, he would track down Yu Lixia and extort cash from her, often resorting to physical violence. It was a common sight to see him dragging her down the street by her hair. In my past life, I witnessed firsthand how he treated Yu Lixia. That's why I understood her desperate need to find a powerful protector, even if it meant committing murder. Her suffering was entirely of her own making, yet all of my pain stemmed from her. I managed to get hold of Lu Ji's phone number. I then sent him the photos of Yu Lixia I took at the orphanage that day, including one where she was clinging to Zhou Qingyan's arm with a coquettish expression. He called me immediately and asked who I was. I didn't answer. Instead, I told him the name of the orphanage where Yu Lixia was from. I said she's latched onto a rich man now and is about to hit the jackpot. If he wants money, it has to be now. I told him I was the lawful wife, that Yu Lixia had seduced my husband and even had a child with him, and that I could never forgive that. He sneered, "That little brat you're talking about, that's my kid." I pretended to be both shocked and delighted, promising him 20,000 yuan to teach Yu Lixia a lesson, preferably one she'd remember. He agreed, gave me the exact time, and told me to watch from a safe distance. Zhou Qingyan has been calling and texting me non-stop these past few days, pleading earnestly for a chance to talk. He made it sound so convincing, going on about how we dated for 2 years and have been married for 3, that we've come too far to let some irrelevant woman come between us. He and Yu Lixia have absolutely nothing going on between them. The only reason they've been in frequent contact is regarding the child adoption issue. My mother-in-law gets along well with her, which is why she invited her over. Other than that, there's nothing else. It seems he must have gotten retested and confirmed his azoospermia diagnosis. To think all this time, his mind was completely consumed with getting the child back, only to find out the kid wasn't even his, and because of that, he went and tore things apart with me. Utterly ridiculous. I asked him, "Are we still adopting Yang Yang?" He refused decisively, his voice full of exhaustion. "Yunshu, Mom was tricked by that Yu Lixia. Yang Yang is her own child. She couldn't afford to raise her, so she thought of leaving her at the orphanage to find a good family. This time, I'm on your side. If you want to adopt, bring Dong Dong home. I'll absolutely treat her as my own daughter. If you don't like children, I won't force you in the slightest. Yunshu, please come back. Let's not get divorced. You're all I have left." I stayed silent, pretending to be deep in thought. Only when he frantically called my name, his voice cracking with emotion, did I finally relent. "Alright, but I really have grown fond of Dong Dong. I haven't been to the orphanage in days. Come with me to see him." Zhou Qingyan agreed repeatedly, his voice brimming with relief and joy. In his mind, my agreeing to meet him meant there was still room for negotiation. By choosing to meet at the orphanage, I was making it clear I wanted to test his relationship with Yu Lixia. He was bound to seize this chance to publicly distance himself from her and prove it to me. That idiot still thinks he can keep me in the dark. I set a time with him and arrived early myself. I saw Lu Ji already waiting at the entrance, a cigarette dangling from his mouth, his eyes fixed intently on the orphanage as he shouted something. Not long after, Yu Lixia appeared, before she could utter a single word. Lu Ji suddenly slapped her twice across the face, then proceeded to kick her, blow after blow. The place was remote and out of the way, unlikely to draw attention. With a vicious look on his face, Lu Ji grabbed Yu Lixia by the hair, dragged her to the wall, and slammed her head against it with brutal force. Even from a distance, I could hear Yu Lixia's agonized, pig-like shrieks, her desperate sobs and pleas for mercy. Lu Ji seemed determined to prove himself to me, his employer. laying into her with savage punches and kicks. That's when Zhou Qingyan arrived. He froze in place at first, too afraid to approach. After watching for a moment, he finally recognized Yu Lixia. He made a move to step forward, then stopped himself. Yu Lixia spotted him and let out a desperate wail. "Qingyan, save me. Please, save me." Lu Ji sneered and kicked her in the face. "Got some nerve, huh? Using my kid to hook up with someone else. You're truly despicable." He grabbed Yu Lixia by the hair, forcing her to look directly at Zhou Qingyan. "Spit it out, you bitch. Whose child is Yang Yang? Really, yours? It's yours. I only went to him after I was already pregnant. All the money I've given you these years came from him." Yu Lixia was wailing her heart out. "Lu Ji, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. I'm begging you. Please let me go." Zhou Qingyan's face was deathly pale, his feet rooted to the spot, unable to move an inch. Knowing something in your heart is one thing, hearing it with your own ears is another. He didn't dare to take the paternity test. I appeared at just the right moment, linking my arm with Zhou Qingyan's and cooing, "Qingyan, sorry, you must have been waiting for ages, haven't you?" "How could that be?" Zhou Qingyan turned his head, his gaze gentle. "If it's for you, I'm willing to wait however long it takes." I acted as if I had just noticed Yu Lixia on the ground, her head covered in blood, and gasped in feigned surprise, covering my mouth. "Oh, miss you, what happened? Do you need help?" Zhou Qingyan put his arm around my waist and led me further away. "Don't look, Yunshu, we don't need to bother with her. She brought this on herself with her wicked schemes." Yu Lixia's desperate cries for help rang out from behind us, but Zhou Qingyan's expression remained unchanged as he wrapped an arm around me and hurried forward. At the orphanage, I spent a good while amusing Dong Dong, while Yang Yang tugged at Zhou Qingyan's sleeve nearby, calling him daddy. Zhou Qingyan's face darkened with fury as he snapped, "Who's your father? Get away from me." Terrified, Yang Yang burst into loud, wailing sobs. Zhou Qingyan ignored him and hurried over to me. "Yunshu, you were right. That ugly kid is really annoying." I smiled without a word, quietly promising Dong Dong I'd come see her again next time. Dong Dong blinked her eyes and nodded vigorously, using the restroom as an excuse. I sent Lu Ji a text telling him to leave immediately. I slipped out alone, avoiding Zhou Qingyan, and the first thing I saw was Yu Lixia sprawled on the ground like a dead dog, barely clinging to life. I crouched beside her, covering my nose in disgust. "Oh dear, miss you, are you alright?" Her face was covered in blood, her eyes blazing with hatred. "It was you, wasn't it?" she rasped, her voice hoarse. "It had to be you." "What are you talking about? I only wanted to help you." A look of confusion crossed my face, quickly replaced by a blissful smile. "Qingyan really does love me. He made a point of asking me to come, saying there'd be a good show to watch, and he was right." Yu Lixia shuddered from head to toe, a low growl escaping her lips. "Impossible. Nothing is impossible." I smiled gently. "Qingyan told me you'd been clinging to him, causing a crisis in our relationship. He wanted to teach you a proper lesson, to make you understand that being the other woman isn't so easy." With that, I turned and walked away, ignoring her shouts and screams behind me. Back in the car, I kept an eye on Yu Lixia's condition until Zhou Qingyan called, asking where I'd gone. I replied, "I'm feeling a bit lightheaded, so I came back to the car first." "Why are you feeling dizzy?" "I'll be right out." His voice was full of concern as he hurried out the door. Just outside the gate, he ran right into Yu Lixia, who was struggling to get up. Zhou Qingyan tried to avoid her, but she grabbed him. After a brief argument, Zhou Qingyan lost his patience. He shoved her to the ground, his face a mask of disgust. Yu Lixia fell hard, enraged. She snatched up a stone from the ground and lunged at him. Zhou Qingyan was caught off guard and tackled to the ground. Before he could even react, a rock smashed into his face. Blow after blow landed, sending blood splattering everywhere. At first, he managed to struggle feebly, but soon he fell silent and still. Only the ferocious, snarling Yu Lixia kept screaming, "Die, die, just die." I called the police. Only after they were about to arrive did I dare get out of the car, breaking down as I screamed, "Qingyan, what's wrong with you?" Yu Lixia suddenly looked up at me, clutching the blood-soaked rock, and charged forward, but she only managed the initial lunge before being swarmed and pinned to the ground by the police. Zhou Qingyan was dead, in the morgue. His entire head was misshapen, a horrific sight. I threw myself beside him, wailing uncontrollably, while my mother-in-law fainted dead away on the spot. Yu Lixia was sentenced to death for intentional homicide. Upon hearing the verdict, I decided to move back to my hometown that very night. My mother-in-law threw a fit, kneeling on the ground, weeping and wailing, saying she was my husband's mother and I couldn't just abandon her. I immediately called some friends to come and help me move. The last thing I saw as I closed the door was her collapsed on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I couldn't be bothered to pay them any mind. Once the adoption paperwork was finalized, I went to the orphanage and brought Dong Dong home. At first, I was just being contrary, but as we spent more time together, I genuinely grew to love this child. For her, I was willing to change my mind and to build a life together in the days to come. Holding my hand, she walked in step by step, her face lit up with wonder. I crouched down and gently patted her little head. Dong Dong, you have a home now. This is your home. She nodded emphatically and reached out to embrace me. Story 2. My best friend decided to give herself to the Commune Brigade leader, who had long coveted her. When the national college entrance exams resumed in 1977, both my best friend and I failed. She wanted a chance to return to the city. I risked defending the Commune Brigade leader and did everything I could to talk her out of it. We watched as, one by one, the other educated youths who had been sent down to the countryside returned to the city. My best friend blamed me for everything, convinced it was my fault she was stuck in the countryside. She conspired with the Commune Brigade leader to deliver me into the bed of the village's crippled good-for-nothing. She stole my university admission spot and went to college in my place. I remained in the village, where I was subjected to domestic violence by that crippled lout and was brutally tortured to death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day she said she'd offer herself to the brigade leader. A deep, bone-aching pain jolted me awake. I heard a whisper close to my ear. Bing bing. Do you think I should go talk to the brigade leader about the city return quota? Seeing I didn't respond, Luo Shui slipped into my bed and pinched my arm with her icy hands. I've heard the first time doing that is really painful. You're my best friend. You have to keep a lookout for me. The realization hit me late. A chill ran down my spine, and I broke out in a cold sweat despite the May weather. In my past life, Luo Shui had asked me the same question. I tried my hardest to talk her out of it, telling her not to take a shortcut just for a chance to return to the city. A young, unmarried woman throwing herself at a married brigade leader with a family, that's nothing but adultery. She'd end up with her head shaved in a humiliating pattern and paraded through the streets for public shaming. Later, the opportunity to return to the city was given to another female educated youth, and because of this, Luo Shui came to resent me. Luo Shui and I grew up in the same compound. Our families have been close for generations, and we went to the countryside together. Luo Shui was tall and beautiful, with a stunning figure. She was always top of the class and had boys fawning over her since we were kids. When we first arrived in the village, the local men would practically drool over Luo Shui. They'd even grope her on the street. I protected Luo Shui everywhere we went, like a mother hen guarding her chicks. We spent several years as educated youth in the countryside. When the national college entrance exams resumed in 1977, we failed because we hadn't had time to properly review our textbooks. The other educated youth who went down to the countryside with us either passed the exams and returned to the city for university, or managed to get back through family connections. During the second round of exams, I got into university, but Luo Shui failed once again. She couldn't return to the city. What's more, because I had often stood up for her, I had offended the Commune Brigade leader, which cost her a spot on the return quota list. She hated me with a venomous passion. The day before I was to return to the city for school, she knocked me out and delivered me to the bed of the village's crippled layabout. I was brutally played with and killed on that bed by the crippled layabout. Don Bing Bing, this is what you owe me. You can stay in this godforsaken place and enjoy it. I'll go to this university you got into in your place. I watched in despair as she left, holding my university acceptance letter. A hatred from the depths of my soul made me clench my fists so hard that my nails drew blood from my palms. The pitch-black night concealed the hatred in my eyes. My voice was a little hoarse. This is too big a decision. You need to think it through for yourself. Not getting the answer she wanted, Luo Shui pinched me again in frustration. We've been best friends since we were kids. I can't figure this out on my own. You have to help me think, I simply said. We are good friends. I'll respect whatever decision you make. This time, I made no attempt to dissuade Luo Shui from her plan to offer herself, yet Luo Shui began to fret, agonizing over it. I've been watching for a while. Several of the female educated youths have gone to see the Commune Brigade leader, but there's only one spot. What if I give myself to the brigade leader and he still doesn't give me the placement? And if people found out the brigade leader had taken me to bed, how could I ever go on living? What if I accidentally get pregnant? This time, I didn't stop her, but she was the one getting all tangled up in her own thoughts. I offered a cold piece of advice. I've heard that if you just go along with the man during that act, It doesn't hurt as much, Luo Shui blushed furiously, pinched my arm, and whined, ugh, so annoying. If I were as plain as you, I wouldn't have these kinds of worries. Alright, I've made up my mind. I have to get that spot to return to the city. I can't stand this godforsaken place anymore. You know me, my grades are terrible, even if I took the college entrance exam again. I wouldn't pass. Bing bing, you'll keep a lookout for me, right? Fine, I'll keep a lookout for you. You're my best friend, and I respect any decision you make. I sneered inwardly. Luo Shui got the answer she wanted and happily began discussing with me how to proceed. You have no idea. Those hussies from the neighboring brigade go to see the brigade leader every single day. I need to hurry and see the brigade leader myself, or else someone else will snatch that city return quota. After a moment's thought, I said, the brigade leader's wife is notoriously fierce. We mustn't let her find out. We need to find a secluded spot. The grain storage building would be perfect. It was May, the time for sowing the late rice seedlings. The village was bustling with people, and the only truly quiet place left was the communal grain storage. I'll keep a lookout for you. In return, you get me a letter of introduction stamped with the brigade's official seal. Luo Shui was the type who always took and never gave. She was immediately displeased. Have you no shame? If you want that letter of introduction so badly, go sleep with the brigade leader yourself. My voice turned cold. Forget it. Then, I thought you were my best friend, but you won't even help with this small thing. Find someone else to be your lookout. Seeing that I was genuinely angry, Luo Shui pressed. What do you need the letter for? I let out a sigh. My voice choked. I've been sent down to the countryside for 4 years. My parents were sent to a labor farm in Heilongjiang. I just want to see how they're doing. That's all. When I said that, Luo Shui fell silent. It was a long time before she finally relented and agreed. I knew she was feeling guilty, but I only found that out in my previous life, right before I died. It turns out I have my good friend Luo Shui to thank for my family being reported and sent down to the countryside. Her family, not wanting their son to be sent down as an educated youth, signed Luo Shui up to go instead. Unwilling to endure hardship herself, she took out her resentment by reporting my family. Coinciding with that politically sensitive period, my parents were sent down to the countryside. With help from an old friend, my father arranged for me to be sent down as an educated youth to the same village as Luo Shui, so we could look out for each other. In my past life, I was blind and foolish, protecting my enemy as if she were a dear sister. It is May 1978. And the second national college entrance examination is just 2 months away. During this period, many people were politically rehabilitated. My own father had his reputation and position restored, though it happened after my death. Nowadays, if you want to return to the city, you either have to get into university yourself, or your family has to pull some strings to arrange it. After the Gaokao was reinstated, both Luo Shui and I took the exam. I caught a cold the day before the college entrance exam after rescuing Luo Shui, who had been pushed into the river by a man from our village. The next day, I took the exam while running a high fever and, unsurprisingly, failed. As for Luo Shui failing, it was purely due to her poor grades. Her getting in would have been a miracle. I've always been a good student. With the memories from my past life and starting my review now, getting into university this time, just like I did before, shouldn't be a problem. My eyes welled up at the thought of my family suffering on the farm. Since Luo Shui wants that spot to return to the city, I'll definitely help her get it. It's just a question of whether she can handle such good fortune. The next day, I wrote a letter to my family and mailed it, along with the things I'd saved up, to my parents. I started reading without a moment to lose. Luo Shui, ever the woman of action, dragged me along to scout out the village. I told Luo Shui we were going to scout the granary, but my real plan was to read there. Luo Shui went to scout the area near the commune brigade leader's house. I kept an eye on the movements of the other female educated youths from the brigades, as well as the comings and goings of the commune brigade leader and his wife. Far too many men lusted after Luo Shui's beauty. Wherever she went, men would approach to take liberties with her. Unable to bear the constant harassment, she happened to run into the commune brigade leader several times on a certain path. The two of them exchanged flirtatious glances. One night, Luo Shui pulled me along when she went out, instructing me to keep watch outside the granary. I found a spot to sit down, using my flashlight to illuminate the book as I read intently. The sound of a woman's moans and a man's grunts reached my ears. By the time I was covered in mosquito bites, they had finally finished. Luo Shui, her face flushed with shyness, limped along with me back to the educated youth lodgings. Luo Shui was the most stunning girl in all the surrounding production brigades, and the commune brigade leader developed an insatiable taste for her body. once started, it became a habit. Soon, Luo Shui didn't even need me to keep watch anymore, and gossip began to swirl through the village. I received a set of review materials sent by my father's old friend in the capital city, in my past life. After my father was sent down to the countryside, I lost all contact with my family. I got into university entirely on my own merit. I know my own capabilities, but my options for which schools to apply to were limited. Now, with these study materials, I have a lot more schools to choose from. Luo Shui and the commune brigade leader grew increasingly brazen. Sometimes they'd carry on at his house. Other times they'd just drop their pants and go at it in the grove, while I was hauling pig manure. Luo Shui was transferred to become a teacher at the commune's primary school. I was toiling in the fields under the scorching sun, while Luo Shui was sipping tea in the school office. Luo Shui's behavior stirred resentment among the other female educated youths, and whenever anyone voiced a complaint, she would always drag me out as her cover, saying, Bing Bing and I were just asking the brigade leader about the study materials. Rumors began to spread through the village about me and the commune brigade leader having an improper relationship. Luo Shui was quite pleased with my good sense. She managed to get me a letter of introduction stamped with the brigade's official seal. I've been good to you, haven't I? I hear Heilongjiang has great mountain goods and leather. Get some for me. I'll use them as gifts. Seeing me buried in books every day, she tilted her chin up slightly and looked at me with pity. You're so plain looking. Besides studying hard to get into university, you really have no other way back to the city. With the letter of introduction in hand, I felt a great deal more settled. The list of people allowed to return to the city has been finalized, and Luo Shui successfully secured a spot. The village gossip grew even more intense, and Luo Shui called on me to keep watch again. The brigade leader is already in his 40s, yet he's still so vigorous. It disgusts me, Luo Shui complained with revulsion. I stood guard outside the granary, hearing the familiar sounds of panting and soft moans coming from within. I quietly gathered the dry straw I had previously placed around the granary and piled it up outside, then lit it with a match. I then retrieved the brass gong I had hidden earlier in the grass and, pitching my voice, quickly shouted toward the village, "The granary's on fire, come quick." I banged the gong with a deafening clamor, startling the villagers awake and sending them rushing toward the granary to fight the fire. Seeing that my work was done, I hid the gong back in the grass and hurried toward the granary myself. In the granary, Luo Shui and the commune brigade leader were in the throes of passion. Completely lost in the moment, they were oblivious to the commotion in the village until someone kicked the granary door open. All the villagers saw the commune brigade leader and Luo Shui, stark naked and locked together. The brigade leader was so terrified he had a sudden stroke, collapsing limp on top of Luo Shui. A sturdy woman charged in with lightning speed and began tearing into the two of them. "Hong Jianjun, didn't you say you were on patrol tonight? Is this how you patrol? Right onto that cheap slut, have you no shame?" The two were locked together, and the commune brigade leader couldn't pull free, getting beaten half to death by his own wife. Luo Shui didn't fare any better. Under the leering stares of the village men, she was so mortified she wished the ground would swallow her up. I watched their disgraceful spectacle from outside for a moment, then steeled myself and ran headlong into the large tree. A slap from Luo Shui finally brought me groggily back to consciousness, covered in marks. Her face was a mask of fury as she cursed, "You wretch, weren't you supposed to keep watch? Are you dead or something? Lying here asleep?" Clutching my forehead, I put on an innocent face. "I didn't. I saw the villagers coming and tried to call for you, but I just blacked out somehow. Are you all right? Did they find out?" I pressed on. "Who on earth knocked me out? Could it have been the squad leader's wife? Did she find out about you too and do this?" Only then did Luo Shui notice the swelling on my forehead and reluctantly accept my explanation. Following my lead, her mind began to wander. Turning the matter over in her thoughts, she turned her face away impatiently, too ashamed to tell me that she and the commune brigade leader were stuck together. It was the villagers who went to fetch the barefoot doctor. He applied acupuncture to a few points before their bodies could be separated. When the brigade leader's wife left, she took Luo Shui's clothes with her. Her completely naked body was seen by the entire village. The affair between Luo Shui and the commune brigade leader was now out in the open. One day, she told me, "The brigade leader wants me to marry his son, saying it would make it easier for us to carry on our affair later, as if I'd have a future with him. That old bastard is ugly as sin, but he sure has some nerve." Luo Shui had secured a spot to return to the city. She was leaving this godforsaken place soon and had no fear of the village gossip anymore. The commune brigade leader forced his son to marry Luo Shui, but his wife was dead set against it. turning their home upside down with her protests. She even stole and hid the brigade's official seal. The educated youths who wanted to take the college entrance exams couldn't even leave to sit for them without a letter of introduction. At the youth settlement, Luo Shui clapped her hands with glee, saying, "You're not going to pass anyway, so why waste your time taking the test?" Upon hearing this, the resentment of everyone at the educated youth point towards Luo Shui reached its boiling point. A female educated youth couldn't hold back any longer and lunged at her to fight. Soon, the male youths also lost their restraint and joined in beating Luo Shui. I feel absolutely no sympathy for these educated youths. In my past life, these female educated youths also took shortcuts, just like Luo Shui. By cozying up to the commune brigade leader, when they found out the village's crippled good-for-nothing had defiled me, they just laughed and said I'd asked for it. Why did that crippled layabout go after me and not someone else? They must think I was too lonely, too lazy to work in the fields for work points, so I threw myself at that crippled bum. In my past life, it was only because I guarded Luo Shui so fiercely that the men who lusted after her never got their way. Her reputation was ruined for life. Now, the men in the village would follow her, groping her backside whenever they got the chance. The day before the college entrance exam, Luo Shui was walking outside when she was followed by the village's lame good-for-nothing. Seizing the moment she was off guard, he shoved her into the river. The lame man went in after her, molesting her in the water. Luo Shui couldn't swim and thrashed about helplessly in the river. "Don't be scared, little beauty. Big Brother's here to save you." The lame loafer, who hobbled on land, swam like a fish in the river. From a short distance away, I shouted toward the village, "Help, someone, help, Luo Shui has fallen in the river. Quick, save her." Villagers working in the nearby fields heard my cries and rushed over, plunging into the river. Several of the men, just like that lame loafer, took full advantage in the water, groping every breast and backside they could. The bolder ones were sucking on Luo Shui's skin, leaving bright red marks all over her pale body. With a frantic look on my face, I shouted at the group in the river, "What are you doing kissing Luo Shui? Stop it, someone's assaulting her. Someone's groping Luo Shui, kissing Luo Shui, shameless, get your hands off her breasts." The village women weren't just sitting idle, they'd long held a grudge against Luo Shui, seeing their own men in such a state. The moment Luo Shui was pulled ashore, several women rushed forward and began clawing and beating her. I stood outside the circle, feigning a frantic struggle to break through. "Don't be afraid, Luo Shui, I'm coming to save you. We're good friends, I'll protect you. Stop hitting her. This is a crime, Luo Shui. Don't be scared, I'll protect you." I shrieked hysterically, all the while rolling my eyes skyward. In my past life, I was subjected to domestic violence by a crippled, good-for-nothing man. Beaten from inside the house all the way out into the street, the villagers watched with the same cold indifference. These villagers claimed it was only natural for a man to beat a woman. Now, facing the beaten Luo Shui, the villagers jeered, "That educated youth from the city has no shame." Exactly, first she seduced the brigade leader, and now she's after other men. I tried to explain on her behalf, "Luo Shui isn't like that. There must be some misunderstanding." The villagers looked at me as if I were a complete fool. "My dear, I can see you're a good one. Ever since you came to our village, you've never slacked off. You're always the first to jump in and do the dirty, hard work. You're just too trusting. That Luo Shui has been taking advantage of you, having you do all her work for her while she lazes about all day." After the onlookers had dispersed, I dragged Luo Shui back to the educated youth settlement. The next day, I set off on the road to take the college entrance exam, while Luo Shui lay in the settlement, burning with fever with no one to care for her. This time, I was the only one from the nearby educated youth who went to take the exam, armed with my letter of introduction. I knew that once the scandal between Luo Shui and the production brigade leader blew up, they would surely use the letters of introduction to give us educated youth a hard time. The other educated youths, unable to obtain the required letters of introduction for the college entrance exams, jointly reported the commune brigade leader for misconduct. They also reported that Luo Shui had secured her urban return quota through improper means. The commune brigade leader was removed from his post, and Luo Shui's urban return quota was revoked. When the exam results were released, I received my admission letter from Tsinghua University. It was only then that everyone realized I hadn't taken leave to visit family, but to sit for the college entrance exams. The educated youths doubted my college entrance exam results, and someone reported me. Due to the number of people who reported me, it drew the attention of the Education Bureau, which conducted a thorough investigation from start to finish. In the end, the conclusion was that my results were genuine. Luo Shui was bedridden and delirious with illness for a month, and when she awoke, the look in her eyes toward me turned venomous. You bitch, you're only fit for a crippled good-for-nothing. How dare you get into Tsinghua University? I should be the one going to university, me. I knew Luo Shui had also been reborn, but I pretended not to know and made her some brown sugar water. I asked with concern, what are you talking about? If you study hard, you can get in too. Have some brown sugar water, you're just recovering, you need to build your strength back up. Luo Shui tested me several times, confirming that I hadn't been reborn. It was just that the course of this life was different from the last. One day, Luo Shui said she had agreed to marry the production team leader's son. The wedding was arranged in a hurry, scheduled to take place before my school term started. Bing bing. We've been best friends since we were kids. Will you be my maid of honor? Luo Shui extended the invitation to me. The resentment in her eyes was barely concealed. I gave a faint smile and nodded. Of course, we're good friends. On the day of Luo Shui's wedding, I wore dark-colored clothes. She asked me to cover for her with the drinks. We have to save face for our family and friends. Bing bing. Drink a bit more on my behalf. Using my handkerchief as a shield, I discreetly spilled the liquor onto my clothes, pretending I couldn't handle it. While making Luo Shui drink a great deal, in the end, I feigned drunkenness, and Luo Shui, staggering herself, helped me to a room. I cracked my eyes open slightly and saw, to my surprise, the lame good-for-nothing was already in the room, rubbing his hands together with a sinister grin. Enjoy yourself. I'll be the one going to your university. You're only fit for that crippled good-for-nothing. I turned my head toward the door and saw a flash of red through the crack. Realizing Luo Shui was eavesdropping from outside, I pulled out the knife I had prepared earlier and pressed it firmly against the crippled layabout's neck. Not a sound. Choose, stay alive or get knocked out. After knocking the crippled man unconscious, I quickly got out of bed, opened the door, knocked Luo Shui out, and dragged her into the room. I stripped them both naked and placed the crippled layabout's hand on her breast. I pulled their tongues out and tangled them together. I arranged them in an intimate pose that left no doubt about the illicit act. Once it was done, I ran outside, found a child I didn't recognize from the village, and gave him some candy. The child led a group of other kids, ran to that room, pushed the door open, and saw the people sleeping inside together. Sleepy sleep, shameless, the bride is sleeping with cripple uncle. The children clapped their hands and ran into the courtyard, shouting gleefully. The wedding guests, curious, were led by the children to that room. At the sight, the crowd was so shocked their jaws dropped. The captain's son never wanted to marry Luo Shui in the first place. On their wedding day, he was publicly humiliated by her infidelity. He grabbed a knife on the spot, ready to cut down that shameless pair. I packed my bags and left for school that very night. At university, I buried myself in my studies, and the time flew by. During the holiday, I made a trip to the countryside in Heilongjiang province and saw my parents, whom I hadn't met for many years. I discussed with my father the matter of Luo Shui's report and the whole series of events surrounding the sent down movement. My father's friend has been politically rehabilitated. We correspond by letter, and he has been actively pulling strings to help. In my past life, after I died, I saw my parents. Their hair turned frost white, weeping before my grave. They lamented that the rehabilitation came too late, costing me my life. They took great care of Luo Shui, who was close to me during my lifetime. Luo Shui's family was thoroughly investigated due to genuine misconduct issues, making their rehabilitation impossible. Yet all my family's resources were given to Luo Shui to use. Luo Shui assumed my identity, attended a normal university, leveraged my father's connections for transfers, and ultimately rose swiftly through the ranks. She was promoted into the Kyoto City Education Bureau system, and through my father's introduction, married a good man from a family of comparable standing. In the end, when my parents passed away, they left behind a substantial inheritance, which Luo Shui inherited. Luo Shui stole my life. She won't get that chance again in this lifetime. In this life, Luo Shui has no chance of returning to the city, and her reputation in the countryside is already ruined. Life in the countryside was no picnic either. Everything I did was simply inspired by how Luo Shui treated me in my past life. Wasn't she the one who liked to trade her body for favors? I didn't stop her. Instead, I helped cover for her. She was jealous that I got into university and wanted to ruin me, but I won't let her have her way. I was wary of her. We grew up together and knew each other inside out. Honestly, if she had just settled down and married the village chief's son, she could have had a decent life in the countryside, but instead, she set her malicious sights on me. determined to ruin my life. On her wedding day, Luo Shui was discovered by the whole village, lying naked with the local crippled good-for-nothing. Both of them were slashed several times by the brigade leader's son. Their wedding day stained with blood splattered across the room. The police arrived quickly and took the brigade leader's son away in handcuffs. Luo Shui and the crippled layabout were left to fend for themselves. Luo Shui was simply sent back to the educated youth settlement. She had alienated all the other educated youths, so no one was willing to get involved in her troubles. Only the squad leader, wanting to avoid a manslaughter charge, got some plant ash and sprinkled it on her wound. Luo Shui's reputation was completely ruined. And her injuries healed only partially and intermittently. She finally came to her senses and went to the brigade leader's house, stubbornly insisting on becoming their daughter-in-law. She was driven away every single time, no matter how she pleaded with the brigade leader, begging him to let her in for the sake of their fleeting affair. He refused, having lost his job. The brigade leader then caused his son to lose face on his wedding day. Their son, who had been sent to the countryside for re-education after wounding someone in a fight, was now fighting with his wife every day. On top of that, after Luo Shui's 2 recent illnesses, her looks had faded, and he had grown tired of her. Finally, the brigade leader came up with an idea. He told Luo Shui to go see the lame good-for-nothing. He was lazy, but with his old parents toiling in the fields, they managed to scrape by. Back when I was around, Luo Shui never wanted to work in the fields for work points. She always pushed it all onto me, with me earning work points to support her. And now that she's in poor health with no one to help, she's afraid she might actually starve. Luo Shui had no choice but to go and live with the lame, lazy man for the time being. During my sophomore year, my father was politically rehabilitated and reinstated to his position. Our family was able to reunite, and I moved out of the dormitory to live back at home. I was a medical student, and in my senior year, I began my internship at Kyoto City First Hospital. Look how thin you've gotten. I've been simmering this black chicken soup for hours. Eat more to build up your strength, my mother said, sitting at the table and looking at me with a smile. My father sat on the living room sofa, newspaper in hand. Young people shouldn't be afraid of anything, least of all hard work. It's all in service of the people. Who would have thought the Luo family next door had the pull to get their name cleared? Father muttered under his breath. I slowed my pace as I sipped the chicken soup. It was already 1981, and nearly all the educated youth sent down to the countryside had returned to the cities. So she's back. I'm not afraid. I'm not the same person I was in my past life. Whatever comes my way, I'll handle it. Luo Shui had also returned to the city. I ran into her in the courtyard the very next day. Luo Shui was wearing a white dress. She had become dark and thin, and her hair looked somewhat dry and brittle. She was holding a child's hand in each of hers. When she saw me, she quickly turned her back. A few days later, Luo Shui showed up at my door with a gift, acting as if nothing had happened. Bing bing, long time no see. Looks like you're doing quite well for yourself. I could see the jealousy practically spilling out from her eyes. I just smiled. Not bad. What brings you and the child back to the city? Is the child's father here too? I asked casually, but it sent Luo Shui into an emotional tailspin. She glared at me with pure venom. You bitch, are you here to laugh at me? In our last life, you were the one who married the cripple. I was the one who went to university. How is it fair that you're living so well now, while I've ended up in this wretched state? As she hurled accusations at me, I burst into laughter. I'm the one who got into university. With your abysmal grades, you wouldn't have even graduated high school if I hadn't tutored you. Your own jealousy was your downfall. I merely used your own momentum against you. Luo Shui, someone as malicious as you actually dared to come back to the city with that deadweight in tow. You reported my father, and you still have the nerve to show your face at my home. Get out. Don't you ever come back here, otherwise. What happened to your father once can happen a second, even a third time. Luo Shui's face went pale as she stumbled backward. You've been reborn too. Seeing me nod with a smile, she clutched her head, refusing to believe it. She couldn't understand why. After becoming a mother, she had grown a conscience. She could have easily returned to the city alone, yet she chose to bring the newborn twins back with her. Perhaps it was because, in her past life, she never had children of her own. She couldn't bear to leave her child behind in the countryside. When news that educated youths could return to the cities reached the village, her lame husband and his family locked her in a room. They were terrified she would run away, leaving the child motherless. She injured her lame husband and his parents, then offered herself to the new production brigade leader, sleeping with him several times to secure the letter of recommendation for her return to the city. Only then did she return to the city with her 2 children, Luo Shui muttered to herself and ran out of my house. I took the letter of accusation I had prepared long ago and went out to mail it to the relevant authorities. The Luo family was soon subjected to another thorough investigation, and this time they were sent down for re-education once more. The house and the compound was reclaimed, leaving Luo Shui and her 2 children with nowhere to go. Luo Shui and her 2 children knelt at my doorstep, begging me to take them in for the sake of our childhood friendship. I called the village brigade, and the man with a limp arrived quickly, taking Luo Shui and her children back to the countryside. I performed exceptionally well during my hospital internship and was retained as a doctor at the same institution. Not long after, through an introduction by my supervisor, I went on a blind date with the hospital director's son. He was handsome, gentle by nature, and very understanding towards me. So we quickly became a couple. Our families were well matched in social standing, and we held a grand wedding ceremony. After marriage, my husband and I were deeply in love, and we soon welcomed a lovely son. I didn't quit my job because of marriage. I worked at the hospital for decades. During a community medical outreach, I encountered Luo Shui, her hair completely white as frost, at just 50 years old. Luo Shui was hunched over with a frail, aged body, looking as if she were in her 80s. In the corner of the psychiatric hospital ward, she muttered to herself, "Mine, it's all mine. I'm the real college student. You stole everything from me." My gaze caught Luo Shui's attention. Seeing me, her face filled with terror. "Ah, don't come any closer. Don't come to claim my life. I didn't mean to harm you." I stood there and smiled faintly. The nurses at the mental hospital said Luo Shui was all alone. Her husband had gotten drunk, fallen on a nighttime walk, and died. Her son had drowned, and her daughter, after marrying, had died from domestic violence. Luo Shui had gone completely mad. Her in-laws' relatives had her committed to the mental hospital, and she remained locked away there for decades. As I looked at the deranged Luo Shui, I realized that the hatred I once held had long since vanished into thin air. My life's path is different from the one that was stolen from me in my past life. My parents are in good health, and I have a happy family. I work diligently at the hospital, dedicating my youth to my country and serving the people. The end.